Hi guys, how are you doing? It is my hope that you are well. I'm fine and I'm so happy once again to be here on the Vima Show. For those who are new, this is the Vima Show where we deal with love issues, relationship tips, marriage, inspiring stories, mental health. We also deal with the women in business, the men in business. In fact, we just do a lot of stuff, a lot of things, a lot of topics that can help you as a person as you are watching our show. We also bring couple on the show because we always encourage marriages to work, and we always say that marriage must work with God. And so every time I also bring some couple just to give us their story. They share maybe their experiences. They share how they have been able to work out for their marriage, because you know it's all about that. It's all about positivity. It's all about encouraging you, inspiring you, and ensuring that you have a good life, ensuring that you live well. Okay. And without even forgetting, we always take it back to God, because He's the one, He's the author and finisher of our faith, of our life, of our salvation. So every time here, it's all about the positive stories, positive vibes, because we always want to be an encouragement to you. We desire to be an inspirational to you, or rather to give you maybe inspirational tips, or maybe inspiring stories. So every time you come back on the show, please don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share with your friends. Don't forget to even like and even comment, because every time I would appreciate if maybe you give me your view on our episode, your view on, many of you have been, I'm not complaining, many of you have been commenting, you've been even DMing me, telling me what you would like us to talk about on the next show. And so I really appreciate everything that you are doing for us. I really appreciate whatever you are doing for us, okay? Behind the camera, don't forget, it's the King Studio. They do all the services. They provide all the services in your event, in your function. It can be either a show, a wedding, whatever ceremony you have. Please, if you have an event, feel free to contact them. Without much ado, let me dive into the topic of today, and let me try to elaborate a bit about what I'm talking about today alone on the show. There's something I've really thought about when because everyone has really passed through whatever I'm going to share right now, and it is about childhood traumas. Yes, the childhood traumas. I know many times when we were growing up, we would feel that like it is okay, it is normal to experience these. But let me tell you, I'm going to be highlighting, this is going to be a part one of our story, of our episode. Here I'm going to be highlighting some of the things that show, that reveal that you indeed passed through some childhood traumas, okay? And I'm going to be highlighting some of the things, because childhood trauma can be something that is physical, it can be mental, it can be psychological, it can also be emotional. So there are so many things that you can maybe experience, and you feel that this is not okay for a baby. This was not okay for me to, or rather, it was not okay for me to go through this. It was not okay, maybe for me to experience this. And so I want to highlight them, because in part two of this story, of this episode, we are now going to check and see what are some of the ways that we healed, or rather we are still healing, or rather how we can heal. Because I know many of you have not yet healed. There are others who are in the healing process. There are some of you who have not even identified whether you experienced some childhood trauma, and yet you don't know. So I'm going to be highlighting those things, those points. I'm going to be revealing those points to you that show that you really went through some childhood trauma. And then in part two, we are now going to see how can you heal. I'm also thinking of even bringing other people who have had certain experiences to come and share with us on the show, okay? I don't know how you feel about it. If you are a person, you are watching this story, this episode, and you feel you are really talking about me. I went through that, and I would feel so good to come and share. You can even DM me. You can drop your number there, comment, and I'm going to look for you. Comment that if you really want to share your story, maybe your childhood trauma stories, come and share, and even tell us, encourage us, how do you heal from them, okay? And so let me now get straight into the points, because when I've already highlighted that when I talk about childhood traumas, they can be something physical. Many of you, I know you relate with the issue of physical, mostly being the sexual assault, or rather the sexual abuse. You find that you went through that as a child and you thought it was very okay. You thought it was very okay, maybe for that to happen to you. That was a childhood trauma. So I'm going to highlight some of the things, some of the points that show us that we really went through that, okay? And so the first thing is when you as a child, you really went through, or rather you were brought up in a family where there were constant fights and arguments. You would, even when I ask you, maybe you would never remember a day that went by without your parents fighting. Not just with verbal words, or rather verbally, but fighting physically. I know you can relate with that. If you went through that, that was childhood trauma. That thing can really cause some trauma in you. And you might not even, when you grow up, because there are some consequences of this childhood trauma, you realize that you feel that everyone betrays you. You realize that there's a lot of rejection in you because you felt that you were never brought up in love. Even the family that you were brought up in, you feel there was no love. It was all about maybe war, all about being called to one another. There was no even appreciating you, okay? So whenever, if you are brought in such a household where there were constant fights and arguments, that shows that you went through some childhood trauma. Because as a baby, as a child, you are not supposed to experience some things. You are not supposed to experience some abuse. You are not supposed to experience any violence, okay? Then the other thing is when you have some parents who disregard your emotions. Yes, as a baby you feel that you need this, but many times you feel, even our parents, when they were bringing us up, they would tell us, they would react like they know more than us. I know when I'm talking about that, the current generation, you feel that you have a voice. The current Gen Zs, the Gen Alphas that we are bringing up, they feel that they have a voice. They have a right to speak. They have a right to express themselves. But many times, mostly the millennials and the ones who came before them, you can concur with me that our parents knew the best. Yes, you would not even if you felt that your parents are maybe doing something wrong, you would not even have the guts to maybe correct them. You not even have the energy to tell them, mom, this is wrong, you are doing something wrong, you're not supposed to do that, you see. That is something that can also cause some childhood trauma, because you feel these people don't love me. You feel these people, I'm trying to express myself, but they don't appreciate. They don't appreciate my emotions. They don't appreciate who I am. They don't appreciate maybe the kind of a person I am. So that can also be maybe one of the reasons why you feel you face some childhood traumas. Then the other thing is when you are forced to flee as a refugee just because of war. Okay, maybe there's a war in your family, maybe your dad, because of these drugs and everything, maybe he comes from drunk, and then maybe there are some fights, and in fact he goes ahead to maybe maybe chase you away from your home, and mostly at night, that thing can really harm you as a baby. That thing can cause, can even make you to hate men if you're a girl. That thing can really make you maybe to have that disregard to men. If you're a girl, you even try to feel that men are not good, it's not good to even settle down in marriage. Many times, if you're not careful, if you experience this and you're not careful, you might even bring it into your future life, into your future family, into your future marriage. And you find that every time you're having constant fight, and because as a baby you experience some childhood trauma, and you felt that the only way to solve the issue is by fighting. When you bring that fight in your marriage as a young baby boy, and maybe you grow up to realize men solve issues with fights, you will even bring that fight in your marriage, and you will even start maybe fighting with your wife, you see. And that's something that is so wrong. Okay, so as parents, as we bring up our children, let us realize that our children are also observing. Children always watch through, or rather they learn through observing, or rather through observation. So every time, whatever you do with your spouse, even if you have some disagreements, I always encourage you, go somewhere where the babies are not even watching, where the babies are not even listening. Because I know that some of our babies are grown-ups. Even you have an adult of maybe 18 years and above, you have a teenager. Those are people who are reasoning. And every time you are fighting maybe before them, they start now reasoning, oh, this is how it's supposed to be done. This is how maybe when I have an issue in future with my wife or with my husband, this is how I'm supposed to deal with issues. So every time, show peace as a woman. And ensure that you create that peaceful environment around your children, around your husband, okay? Then, the other thing that we need to understand is that when you experience, or rather if you experience domestic violence, that can cause some childhood trauma. Domestic violence is all about fights. You have an issue, maybe your parents had issues and some disagreements. They could cause it, they would solve it through fighting. That physical, that is what you call domestic violence. You find that there's a lot of violence in the family. There's a lot of violence in the marriage. And so if you're not very keen, if you're not careful, and the children are there, you are beating your wife, your children are watching, that's wrong. The child will start creating, having that trauma, and it will affect them in future. Okay? Only God can really redeem them and maybe redeem them from that. But if they are not maybe even helped through maybe by a psychiatrist or maybe some therapist, they will have that issue. That trauma will stick in their head. Okay? So let us be careful because we are people who have been enlightened. We understand what is happening. Ensure that your children don't regret being born in that family. Ensure that your children enjoy the serenity, they enjoy the tranquility, the peace in that family, so that they can really understand that, oh, this is how I'm supposed to bring up my kids. I really love our family. I really love how my father treats my mom. Because the moment they realize that, they are going to love it and they are going to enjoy being even there. And they are going to grow. You're going to give them the space of being children in that family. Okay? You're going to give them that space to grow. Let them grow as children. Let them not have, let them not watch you fighting with your spouse. Okay? The other thing is that when you are forced to sell even the hard drugs, you are brought up in a family, you realize that the only way the earning income is by selling hard drugs. And because you are a baby who is born in that family, you are triggered, or that of course you are expected to go into the business. That is something that can cause some traumas to a baby that is growing up, a baby that is observing, because every time they realize, oh, I'm selling this, so it's okay. It's like my parents are confirming to me, it's okay for you to sell maybe band, it's okay to sell mirror, it's okay to do this. You see, those are some of the things that can even show that, hey, this is a trauma that I went through as a baby. And right now, as you grow up, you realize, oh, this was wrong. This was a mistake. Drug trafficking is wrong. And if you are a parent and you are maybe doing that, can you please stop? Because you are encouraging that baby. When they grow up and maybe they get into drugs, how will you tell them? How will you sit them down and tell them, maybe drug abuse is wrong. I don't want you to get into drugs. And yet, you are the one who initiated them to selling it when they were babies. Okay? Please, let us watch out. Let us watch out. I'm almost concluding, and as I conclude, there are some of the things that I need you to understand. That it's not just about the things I've mentioned, but sometimes you realize that maybe you're not violent, you're not, there's no drug abuse in your family, but then there's a lot of anger. When your parents are bringing you up, they bring you with a lot of anger, they bring you with a lot of hatred, maybe because most of the time you realize that when you're a single mom and you're bringing up a kid, they'll tend they will want to know, why did you separate with your father, or why did you separate with your mother? And so many times you're going to, because you want to show the baby that you are the best parent, you start telling them that if it's their mom or their dad, they were the bad parents, okay? So this will make the baby to grow with a lot of anger. It will make the baby to grow with a lot of bitterness, feeling that, hey, I was rejected, this happened to me, it's because maybe they never loved me. My dad went away, ran away because he never loved me. And they will grow with a low self-esteem. They will grow up knowing that I am not loved, I am rejected, maybe children who will come to realize in future, maybe they are as a result of maybe rape. You see, they will tend to grow not loving themselves. They really need a lot of guidance for them to start loving themselves. Because the moment you realize that I'm a product of rape, I'm a product of rejection, I was rejected, this thing happened to me, you realize that that was not something that was supposed to happen to you as a baby. That can really cause a lot of trauma, and it can affect how you relate with people, even in your workplace, even in the business, maybe in your profession, how you relate with other workers, how you relate with other colleagues. It can be determined by how you were brought up. It can be determined by how high your self-esteem is. Okay, so as I conclude, I want to encourage you. Make sure, if maybe there's something that you felt that I have talked about, and maybe you experienced it as a baby, ensure that you watch my second part. That is part 2 of our story, of our episode, and understand, now that I'm already in it, now I'm already drowning in this thing, how can I get out of it? How can I heal from it? Because it is possible, okay? It is possible. As I always tell you, there's nothing that is impossible with God. With God, it's going to be possible. So ensure that now you walk through this journey with me, so that you can understand, how do you heal from this? How can I get freedom from this maybe beast that you feel that it's maybe caging you, okay? Because many times, any child, anybody who is an adult right now, and you feel that you experience some childhood trauma, you feel like, even when you've grown up, you feel like you are in a cage. And it only requires the grace of God for you to come out of it, okay? So continue watching our episode. Stay tuned for our next episode, because it's going to be hot. I know that we are also going to have some real stories. I know right now I've just used some examples. We are going to have real stories. I don't want to share maybe who is going to come on the show next time, because we are going to have a guest, or other guests. Yes, we can even have several guests to come and share their stories, their experiences with these childhood traumas, and how they have been able to overcome it, okay? So stay tuned, keep watching our episode, keep liking, keep on commenting, because it means a lot to us. May the Lord bless you. Until next time.